Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar from Vulnerable to Vigilant. It should be around about a 20-minute SME cybersecurity blueprint. And if you are running late to the lobby, don't worry about it. What we're going to do is actually send a recording after the video. Also, if you've got any questions, there is actually a questions and answer box you can fill in from there. So without further ado, we'll get started.
Thank you very much. So, next slide. So, who am I? My name's Lewis Arthur Brown. I'm the solutions partner at CodeStone. So I just make sure that CodeStone has an industry-leading suite of solutions, products and services that we can provide to our customers to help you lead your strategic advantage in various places. So that's me, that's what I do. And over to you, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ackley. I'm a business development representative. I don't have the credentials Louis has, but I do run everything from IT managed services. So everything from IT support, cybersecurity, cloud managed services, that's what I do and cover. Okay, so on today's agenda, one, can the fundamentals really defend against the majority of cyber attacks? Two, what are the core cybersecurity fundamentals? 3, importance of end user training and awareness enhancing cybersecurity. 4, practical steps to strengthen your organization's cybersecurity posture.
Cool. Yeah, brilliant. And remember, there is a Q&A box, so do pop any questions in, and we'll get back to you post session with any responses required. So I do note that in the lobby there's a few of you who are new to CodeStone, so I will just spend 30 seconds to a minute just going through who we are, what we do. So we've been in business around 27 years. We've got over 1,000 customers that we help. We're very proud of our retention rate. It's 97%, and we want to keep it there. So, you know, we're very, very customer focused. We've got all the necessary sort of credentials you would expect from an IT managed service provider. So we've got the ISOs, we've got Microsoft SPDs, and we're Cyber Essentials Plus certified as well. Now, we've also won quite a fantastic award, the ERP Today Awards, Transformation Project of the Year. Quite a hard award to win, you know, lots of stiff competition in that. So I'm proud to say that that's something we were entered into, and we came out on top, thankfully. So that's a testament to our skills in ERP, SAP world, which is absolutely fantastic. So as in CodeStone, we're really divided into 3 different lines of business. We've got ERP, which is everything from SAP to Microsoft Dynamics 365. We've got Data and Insights, which is everything from Tagetic to SAP Analytics Cloud, all the way through to Microsoft Power BI, helping you to visualize that data. And we've got what we abbreviate to CAMS, or Cloud and Managed Services. So this is your traditional IT managed services, your security, SOC services, everything Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Azure too. So without further ado, let's move into the webinar. So this is Cybersecurity Blueprint for SMEs.
Okay, brilliant. Right, first thing on the insights, for the key insights, is estimated shortfall. There is an essential shortfall of 11,200 people to meet the demand of cyber workforce.
Yeah, and this one is worrying. It's something which, you know, I've spoken about a number of times at various platforms, and every time we talk about it, I think the number is getting bigger, and that's probably because of how the demand's probably accelerating. You know, we've got a lot of factors out there today. We've got nation state actors. You know, we've got AI, which is augmenting all of these cyber attacks, and then you've got people who are, you know, we're upskilling. We've got different programs out there, but I don't think it's enough at the moment. So yeah, we are still very, very short of the demand at the moment.
Yeah, and even in that area, we do have a skills gap of 50% of all UK businesses actually have a cyber skills gap.
Big.
Yeah, so it's quite a big number. So there's definitely an area of improvement that could be done there. And talking about improvement, the global cost of breaches, the global average total cost of a breach rose from 1.9%, while the UK saw an increase of 8.1%. There are, or could be, many factors as to why the UK is hit more. It could be that we're just a higher cost area for businesses, but essentially the number is there. So having someone look into it and look after your cyber is definitely essential.
Well said, definitely.
Okay, so common attack vendors. Business email compromise continues to be the most common vector, with 91% of attacks involving email.
Yeah, and this could be anything from, oh, hey, you've won a prize, click on this link, or we've got some certain blue pills in stock. Do you want to order them? To, oh, hey, can you go and approve something? Can you go talk to your manager? Can you change his bank details? It could be anything. And with the sort of surgence and growth and emergence, of generative AI, it is only getting more the qualities improving significantly. So where you could have easily spot, that phishing email or that spam email before, now you're dealing with people who can make really high quality campaigns, but also deliver them at the pace, at the scale that they couldn't have done previously. So I think that's why it's still the most common, and 91% speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's too late for me to cancel my blue pill order as well. So we'll just move on to the next bit there. So the next one is supply chain attacks. 19% of the breaches come from supply chain attacks, taking on an average of 26 days to identify and contain.
Yeah, and again, I think this one is also really worrying, because you could have a bulletproof cybersecurity posture. You could be Fort Knox. You could have everything locked down. All of your users so vigilant and so trained. But if your upstream supplier or customer or partner gets penetrated, if they get attacked, and someone managed to spoof their email and email you and say, oh, hey, friendly tone, exactly as they would have written previously, can you update your payment details? We've got new bank details. Next time you make that payment run, you're going to be paying the bad guys and not them. That's just one example of how, despite your pragmatic security endeavors, it doesn't really matter if the people you're dealing with, if your supply chain isn't as strong. So that's why you've got to make sure your users are trained, and that's why it is increasing, because it's all about attacking the supply chain at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And ransomware breaches took on 237 days to identify and a further 8 to 9 days to contain. So it can be a very long time before we identify.
It can, especially if you're not using something like a SOC or a secure operations center. If you don't have that capability internally, or you're not leveraging that through a partner or a supplier, I think that's where it will take 237 days, probably more, to actually realize something's going on. But then once you realize something has happened, it could be them slipping up, or it could be them actually doing an attack. It then takes so long to get them out of the system, just because they've been there for so long. How many back doors have they planted? How much of your data have they siphoned off? How many accounts have they created that look like somebody else? And the list goes on. So, ransomware typically is something which is really hard to detect and prevent. If you have a SOC in place, I think that number does come down, but I wouldn't say by much more than that.
Yeah. It's always best to be proactive rather than reactive. So it's definitely there. Right.
Definitely.
The most critical security threats facing SMEs today, as we've spoke about briefly, phishing and social engineering. Cyber criminals trick employees into revealing sensitive information about positioning as a trusted entity.
And that's a really apt definition, right? So that's ultimately what they're trying to do. That trusted entity could be, like we said earlier, a trusted member of the supply chain. It could be a colleague, could be your boss, could even be a family member. So, a lot of attackers now use LinkedIn. They use other social media platforms, reverse image searches, things like that, to get information on who's related to who. So, it's something whereby, you really can't trust, what you're seeing anymore. Again, I will say, especially with the prevalence of Gen AI and the ability to sort of deep fake and clone voices and things, you really need to approach it with a healthy skepticism. And I think that needs to really go down to your users as well, in order to sort of defend yourself.
Yeah. So ransomware, malicious software that locks your data and threatens phishing online until a ransom is paid.
Exactly, and it's one of those things where, even if you do pay up, then you're probably on a different list to say these guys actually pay up. So who's to say you won't be ransomware or crypto locked again? So employing a structure, employing a baseline to be able to defend against that is absolutely critical nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the stat is so far that it's around about 60% who pay ransoms actually never get their software back. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's bad.
We're all guilty of this one. Weak passwords. It's easy to guess passwords that have been exploited by attackers in a general or targeted approach.
Yeah, and it's the most common. You get dictionary attacks. Some credentials are sold on the dark web. I think what one of the most important things is don't reshare or reuse passwords. Easier said than done, right? Because that reminds me of a comedian. Can't remember who it was, but the comedian did a skit and basically said, "Oh, you have a password. You then change it. You put a one on the end. You change it. You put an exclamation mark on the end. You then got to change it again after 30 days. You change it to a 2, or you put another exclamation mark on the end, and so on. So I think a lot of people, joking aside, do follow the same sort of logic. And it is an area where unless you're passwordless, unless you're really ingrained in MFA, it is a tremendous risk to any business.
Yeah, and a lot of people would put a lot of their information on social medias, like their favorite pet or their grandma, and it doesn't take long before people can figure out what a weak password might be.
Absolutely.
So the next one is poor patch management, not updating software regularly, leaving vulnerabilities open for threat actors to leverage.
Again, unfortunately, this is a really common one. It's something where a lot of organizations just don't do it as much as they should. It's time consuming. It's something, it's easy to forget. It's something where you don't really want to do it, but it is so necessary. It is absolutely non-optional to do this kind of thing. It's harder to do at scale, especially if you don't have the right solutions in place or the right expertise. But especially if there's a 0 day or something which comes up, WannaCry comes out, you need to patch everything now. If you don't have a centralized system or you've got this displaced workforce working everywhere, how do you manage that? And I think a lot of organizations don't address that, and that's why it is such a common way for bad actors to get access to your stuff.
And insider threats, employees or partners who misuse their access for malicious purposes.
Yeah, and I think we had an example a few months ago. Actually, it was quite a while ago now, but yeah, it was Disney, and someone on the inside decided to utilize ransomware as a service. So the bad guys do have legitimate business models. So where they would basically share their credentials, initiate an attack on where they work, and ultimately share part of the spoils with them. So a quick win. But it turned out that actually in that case, halfway through, they bottled it, and they decided they didn't want to be involved anymore. But at that point, the bad guys, the bad actors, they actually leaked their personal details on the dark web as well. So crime does not pay, whatever way you look at it. Can't trust anyone.
Okay, and finally, did you know that 88% of all UK companies suffered a cybersecurity breach in the last 12 months, with most of them coming from an employee clicking on an unfamiliar link or website? Red pill or blue pill? Yeah.
Wow, that is a massive stat. 88%. That's huge. Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole point of email being, or business email compromise, BEC, being the most common trajectory. So of course, it's a numbers game. The more common it is, the more likely it is someone's going to fall victim.
And with the emergence of AI, people can just constantly spam emails out all day. It's not like an individual person doing it anymore. So yeah, it's getting easier to do as well.
Yeah, it really, really is. With that in mind, though, we're not trying to scare anybody. Now, what we're trying to do here is paint the picture and show you what we're all up against in this channel. And luckily, there is a bit of a blueprint you can adopt in order to keep yourself safe from a fundamental perspective. And we'll go through those now. Okay, so the first one that we think is probably one of the most cost-effective protection strategies is a security policy and strategy to back that up. And what we mean by this is, if you define, your password policy, your patching policy, how you're going to train users, and you have that established from the offset, and it's ratified by the business strategy, it's a lot easier to put those controls in place, train the necessary people, obtain the budget you need for the necessary software and tools in order to make that a reality. So it's a lot easier for it to happen, and it's holistic. It can cover anything from, like I said, users to endpoints, all the way across to data as well, which is a huge part of security. Training and awareness, I would say, for me, this is number one. This is something which, when we're talking about what we said, was it, Johnny, 88% of all businesses had a business email compromise attack. It's something whereby if a user knows how to spot these type of things, or they know to question with a healthy skepticism, that critical thinking, that is going to help you in the long run. And the analogy I've painted here is a bit like your employees are soldiers in a war. Okay, you need to make sure they've got the right tools, the right training to protect themselves and each other. And if that's the case, they're going to be able to effectively combat cyber risk. If they don't, if they're poorly trained and they don't have the right tools, they're fighting a losing battle, quite literally.
Yeah, it only takes one login breach to pretty much get into the whole system potentially. So yeah, that's probably a really, really big one.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And again, coming back to the whole point of the emergence of Gen AI, we are yet to experience some of the cyber attacks that Gen AI is capable of. And, a lot of it we can't really even imagine at the moment. So having that healthy skepticism, I think, will help us when something new hits us. It's like, wow, what is this? Instead of relying on software or antivirus definitions being up to date, or, defense in depth being fully, rolled out across your business, users being able to spot it and react to it in a healthy way is key. And what will help support that is the next step, which is MFA and conditional access. So we spoke about securing everything, securing your users. Now we're talking about securing identity. And you can defend, and this is a real stat, 92% of all cyber attacks can be thwarted by enforcing MFA. Why is that? Because they're going for the password. They're going for the identity. They're trying to log in to, Google Drive or, Microsoft Online, or Teams. They're trying to hit people there because they can get to the login window from there, right? So by enforcing MFA and setting additional conditional access rules, you can defend from pretty much anything. 92% is a huge number. So, and what we mean by conditional access is set some rules and say, you can't log in from specific countries, or you can only log in from specific IPs. It will vary depending on your business, but by having that with MFA, with the training awareness, backed up by your security policy and strategy, you're going to be in a really, really good place.
Yeah, and I just on a note, I actually believe going passwordless is just great for the individual as well, because I've got so many different accounts, and personal and otherwise, and just having it passwordless, like a thumbprint on your phone, it just makes life easier. You're not constantly having to look for it, or heaven forbid, writing it next to your computer for people to see at your desk. So yeah, it's just such a game changer for me.
Yeah, no, it really is, and you don't even need a password manager at that point. So it's all passwordless. It's all, on your MFA Authenticator app, and I'm passwordless as much as I can be.
Same.
Certainly in my personal life. It can be more challenging when you come to businesses and you have legacy authentication, legacy technology in the mix, but it's definitely something to aim for, and it's a really good point. And then that brings us on to the final bit in terms of, this blueprint, this baseline blueprint, and you've got to look at securing your infrastructure, and that is your updates and your patching. And it's not only just software. We're not only talking about, Adobe on a laptop. We're talking about, your servers. We're talking about your firewalls. We're talking about your switches. So that firmware, that software, making sure it's all up to date, regularly patched, is a tremendous mechanism to make sure you're in a good position. Because a lot of the time when hackers are profiling different networks, they're going to go for low-hanging fruit a lot of the time, especially opportunistic ones. So make sure you're not in their crosshair. And finally, then, once you've done that, once you've got the baseline sorted and your posture is in a really good place, at that point you can look at your next steps. And this is, when we're talking about, maybe rolling out a proper EDR solution, or maybe you're looking at next-gen antivirus, or looking at a cloud app security broker to secure your SaaS applications. Closing all those security gaps in your environment is then going to be much more effective once you've got those fundamentals in place. I always use the analogy, you wouldn't build a house on unstable foundations, would you? So don't build your cybersecurity posture on unstable foundations. Make sure it's solid, then everything you're going to do above that is going to be much more successful. Right? So you might be sat there and thinking, right, this is fantastic. I can go away now. I can look at my trainers and awareness. I can look at MFA. Maybe I know it's not enabled for everybody. Patching, definitely need to revisit that. What can you do? What's a tangible next step? Well, if you're stuck, if you're thinking, oh, I've got a few things here I really, really, really need to talk to someone about, talk to us. Okay, we've done this before. We do this a lot. Okay, we run cybersecurity workshops. I think Johnny might be able to tell you a bit more about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we can do is we'll evaluate your digital security measures, identify potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses. We'll provide a report which will recommend improvements, and it covers pretty much everything from 365 to Azure to end user to AV to firewalls to VLANs. So what I could personally do after this webinar is, if you're interested, I could drop you a call and we can cover this a little bit more in detail, and then we'll take it from there.
Absolutely, and it's a great one to do, because we can look at your objectives, what you're trying to do, and we can help you get there. So it's a fantastic one to book in as a next step. We also offer a security assessment, so that one's a bit more targeted, and it's something which is for Microsoft specifically. So if you're interested in your Microsoft security posture, do let us know, and that's something we can book in for you too. And if you're sat there and you're thinking, well, great, I kind of know what I want to do, we can help procure, implement, support, a lot of these things, a lot of technologies, a lot of solutions. And just on the screen here, it's just a matrix showing across the different areas what we're good at, everything from your critical apps from SAP to your data and insights, to your purviews, to your applications and your platform. If you're going multi-cloud or hybrid, that's something we can support. If you're looking at high availability or your disaster recovery plans, again, we can help you. If you're looking at managed services, up there on your top left, we've got a 24/7 multilingual IT support desk. And we've got so that's cloud care, and we've got cyber care, which is the security operations center as a service. It's an OPEX model. It's really, really, really accessible from a revenue perspective, from a price perspective. Sorry. So that's something you can help defend yourself with. We also run SecOps, more items like your vulnerability assessments and your phishing simulations. We can handle those for you, and of course. We're also looking at AI and compliance. So if you're looking to go cyber essentials or something along those lines, we can help you with that. We can not only help you source the assessments, but we can help you get ready for that too. And we can help you get ready for Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, by giving you a readiness assessment, or even going straight into a center of excellence, whereby we can help you set up your vehicle to not only test, but also verify, roll out, and make sure you're getting ROI from your investment into AI. So a very, very good thing, very popular at the moment, that one is.
Yep. Very good.
That's it from me. Johnny, anything from you?
No, I think you've covered everything in great detail there. We did try to stick to 20 minutes, but we got very excited, and we obviously just love cyber. So yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and thank you for joining the webinar.
Thank you.